Welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown, the Game Balls and Gassers edition for the New York Giants and their 14-11 loss to the New Orleans Saints at MetLife Stadium. I'm Paul Dottino. And this seems to have happened so many times to the Giants this year, but they have found numerous ways to self-destruct and fritter games away. And really, that's what happened once again in this one against New Orleans. They've now lost 8 games in a row, and they have fallen to 2-11 on the season. This one was finally decided when Bryan Bresee, the Saints pass rushing defensive lineman, deflected Graham Gano's 35-yard field goal attempt wide to the left with 11 seconds to play. Now, before we get to our specific game balls and gassers for the Giants' offense, defense, and special teams, we need to go over the scenario here in the fourth quarter because it was truly another storybook finish that just turned into a nightmare for this team. And the set of circumstances is truly incredible. This is the second week in a row that Drew Lock was the Giants' starting quarterback and led the Giants to a dramatic fourth quarter comeback only to fall short. Now, we'll talk more about the field goal that was taken off of the board and the touchdown that was taken off of the board later on during this program. But for now, I want to concentrate from the middle of the fourth quarter on as to what transpired and how frenetic it really was before the Giants fell short. Middle of the fourth quarter, they wind up going on a 13-play, 82-yard touchdown drive that culminates in Tyrone Tracy's 1-yard touchdown plunge, and then a 2-point conversion pass from Lock that was deflected and grabbed out of the air by Malik Nabers, who goes in for the 2 points and brings the Giants to within 14-11 so that they're only down by 3. That drive also included a 4th and 10 pass to Wan'Dale Robinson for 18 yards to the New Orleans 23. As Locke and the Giants offense continued to fight and continued to do everything they could to climb uphill and get back into this game. So they score that touchdown. So it's about 4 minutes to go in the game. And they wind up with 2 possessions in the final 4+ minutes, down by 3, with a chance to tie or take the lead. And they came up empty. Now, the first time it was a 4th and 9 from their own 38. Locke was chased out of the pocket as he was all day long, scrambling to the right sideline. He tries to hit Darius Slayton downfield, and linebacker Demario Davis was undercutting the route and came up with the interception. All right, you say to yourself, the Saints are now in position to run out the clock. That's pretty much going to be the end of it. Not to be, because the Giants' defense, which was ravaged by injuries and had so many guys deep on the depth chart playing in this game, refused to go down without a fight. Let me go back to the Saints' final drive here. They've got the ball with 1:44 to go, following the Demario Davis interception at their own 47-yard line. First play, they hand the ball off, and Jamal Williams gets only 1 yard. Now, why? Well, because 2 unsung Giants stuff him on the play. Elijah Chapman, the undrafted rookie free agent, who opened a lot of eyes in that preseason game against Houston when he ran 50 yards downfield to track down a running back from behind. Well, Elijah Chapman forced into playing a whole lot more snaps in this game. He combines on the tackle with Elijah Garcia, defensive lineman who's been on the practice squad and had to be elevated because of all the injuries the Giants have gone through. So Garcia and Chapman make the first stop. Giants call timeout with 1:39 to go. Then Jay Ihmir, who had to come in when Derek Carr got injured, his left hand, and perhaps concussion testing because his head had hit the ground on a scramble a little earlier. Ihmir gets sacked by Kayvon Thibodeau for a 10-yard loss. Giants use their second timeout, and now there's 1:34 to go. The crowd is getting into it. It's 3rd and long, and they're thinking, oh, wow, the Giants might actually get the ball back one more time. Maybe they do have a chance to salvage this game. And out of the shotgun, the Saints keep the ball on the ground. They want the Giants to use that last timeout. Kamara on a draw. And Darius Muasau, third-day rookie draft pick, linebacker out of UCLA, makes the tackle for only a 1-yard gain. Giants call timeout, their third and final timeout with 1:31 to go. Terrific defensive series. Couldn't have played it any better. The Saints only milked 13 seconds off the clock, and on 4th down, they get a 43-yard punt to the Giants' 18, and Ihmir Smith-Marsette returns it 9 yards to the Giants' 27-yard line. And that's where now the Giants, with no timeouts remaining, have to move downfield for either the potential tying field goal attempt or potential go-ahead and possibly game-winning touchdown. So Drew Lock hits Tyrone Tracy for 13 yards on the first snap, gets the ball out to the Giants' 40. After 3 straight incompletions, Lock, under pressure, this time tucks the ball away and scrambles for 25 yards on 4th and 10 from his own 40-yard line. He doesn't just get the first down. He actually puts the Giants on the fringe of field goal range all the way to the New Orleans 35-yard line. Now the crowd's going nuts. Quickly, Giants run downfield, first down, boom, Lock hits Malik Nabers, 23 yards. As on the short pass, he's able to get some yak yardage all the way to the New Orleans 12. Now they're in outstanding field goal position. They spike the ball. 21 seconds left in the ball game. No timeouts remaining. Joshua Ezeudu gets called for a false start. All right, 5 yards. Not that deadly at that particular part of the field. So now they're back to the 17-yard line. So it's going to be a 35-yard field goal. That's routine. Incompleted pass to Robinson. Incompleted pass to Slayton as they tried a couple of throws into the end zone. And on 4th down from the 17, Gano comes in, Graham Gano, for a 35-yard field goal attempt that is blocked by Bryan Bresee to seal the ball game. So that's how the wild and woolly, dramatic final half of the 4th quarter went. Much to the Giants' dismay, they fell 3 points short again. Now, I think it's important to remember that the Giants went into this game, much like the Saints, with a number of key players injured. But both teams left it all out there on the field. Turned out the Saints made one more play at the end. But having said all of this, there were certainly offensive, defensive, and special teams game balls to get to for Big Blue. And my game ball on offense is going to go to first-round rookie wide receiver Malik Nabers. Now, for the course of the game, the stat line is not spectacular. 10 targets, 5 catches, 79 yards, but he averaged almost 16 yards a grab, which is really the kind of numbers you want to see out of him. But specifically, he made 3 key catches in the 4th quarter. that allowed the Giants some oxygen as they tried to salvage the game. He had a 22-yard catch to set up Tyrone Tracy's 1-yard touchdown run in the fourth. Then he gets the 23-yard catch on the last drive that puts them in outstanding field goal position. And of course, sandwiched between those two catches, you've got the 2-point conversion where Drew Lock fired over the middle, and there were 4 Saints defenders surrounding Nabers. Pass gets deflected. Nabers somehow is able to pluck the ball out of the air, twisting and turning at the Saints' 1-yard line, and then lowers his shoulder and fights his way into the end zone, so that the 14-9 game became 14-11 and allowed the Giants to only be 3 points down, needing a field goal to send the game to overtime. So Malik Nabers gets my game ball on offense for the Giants, and I'm going to give an honorable mention to Drew Lock because he just refused to go quietly in the fourth quarter for the second week in a row, making plays and showing toughness. Lock was sacked twice in this game among his 13 quarterback hits. Ran 5 times for 59 yards, and his final stat line was 21 for 49 for 227 with the interception. I get it. But he did do enough in the fourth quarter to bring the Giants back. So I am going to throw out an honorable mention to him here. And we're going to talk more about the offense and him in just a few minutes. But I don't want to let his fourth quarter heroics, even though the team fell short, to go unnoticed. The defensive game ball goes to linebacker Micah McFadden, who had a team-leading 11 tackles, including 5 tackles for a loss. In the second half alone, he had 5 tackles with 3 tackles for a loss. I thought it was one of the better games of his Giants career. Now, there was also a downside to that, and we'll talk about that part of it in just a few minutes as well. The special teams game ball, well, this could have been a whole different story had Ihmir Smith-Marsette's punt return for a touchdown been allowed to stand. But because that was called back on a penalty, we're going to have to look elsewhere for the special teams game ball. We will give it to punter Jamie Gillen. 8 punts, including 4 inside the 20. Now, he only averaged over 37 yards a punt for the day, and that was his net as well. But think about this. The 4 he dropped inside the 20 forced the Saints to start at their own 2, 8, 16, and 11 yard lines. He did tilt the field and did a really good job in doing so. So within context, Jamie Gillen had a really good game. The honorable mention here has to go to defensive lineman Casey Rogers, an undrafted rookie free agent out of Oregon. One of those guys asked to step up with so many players injured. He blocked a 60-yard field goal attempt on the final play of the first half, and that kept the Giants to within 7-3 as they went into the locker room. So those are my game balls for the Giants after this one. Now, we go to the gassers. And this is why there's somewhat mixed results again, because, you know, I said Drew Lock got an honorary mention or honorable mention on the game ball situation. Well, he and the entire offense, they're going to have to run laps for gassers here, because there's no way to single anybody out for the first half of scuffling that the Giants' offense put forth on tape. They had 7 first-half drives that totaled 86 yards and only 4 first downs. If that's not bad enough, in the second quarter alone, they had 4 possessions taking over at their 49-yard line and got a field goal out of it. The New Orleans 48 and got nothing. Their own 49 and got nothing. And their own 37 and got nothing. 4 different opportunities to start in pretty nice real estate. 3 in outstanding real estate. A 37-yard start in your own territory is still pretty darn good. 1 field goal on that first possession, and the other 3 that finished out the first half came up empty. The whole offense has to take responsibility for that and why they were down 7-3 at halftime, where given the circumstances, they easily could have been in the lead. Now, of course, there was that second quarter punt return for a touchdown that was called back, but the offense has nothing to do with that. On defense, we've got to go to the confusion in the back 7 in the third quarter, and it's impossible to know who was to blame on this, so we'll simply call it the back 7. It's not so much a cop-out, it's simply that it's impossible to know how either the call got confused or the transmission of it or the communication between the players. There's no way to tell exactly how this went bad. But with 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter and the Saints up 7-3, they've got a first down and 10 at the Giants' 11-yard line. There is confusion in the back 7. Darius Muasau and Micah McFadden are talking to each other. McFadden runs from the right side of the Giants' defense over to the left side of the defense. Doesn't look like there was any corresponding adjustment in the secondary. The Giants clearly did not want to use a timeout, figuring maybe that the game would be close, and as it turned out, it was, and they needed all 3 of their timeouts to get the ball back one final time in the last 2 minutes or so. Actually, the last, 100 seconds. So, yes, I understand they didn't call the timeout there. That would have been a great time to call timeout when you're down 7-3 and the other team has a first down at your 11. The Giants did not. They tried to run through with the play. Quarterback Derek Carr obviously saw what was going on, snapped the football, took a look out to his left, and saw Juwan Johnson, his tight end, totally uncovered. He waltzes straight toward the goal line, pitch and catch from Carr to Johnson. There's no one within 5 counties of him, and of course he scores the touchdown. So it becomes a 14-3 Saints lead late in the third quarter. Clearly a defensive communication problem amongst the back 7. So without knowing who it is, we've got to go to the gasser right there, because that's the decisive play on defense that cost the Giants the winning points. Now on special teams, oh boy, this is really difficult. But there's really no choice. You're going to have to share it here between Jake Kubas, offensive lineman, of course, and Drake Stroman, cornerback. All right, we're going to go with Kubas first. Early fourth quarter, Graham Gano kicks a 48-yard field goal. Kubas is flagged for unnecessary roughness. He's roughhousing with one of the Saints and throws him to the ground. Everybody thought the field goal was good. The penalty flag comes in. You think the Giants are going to get penalized as a dead ball foul, after the field goal is good. They get the points. Now it's going to be enforced on the kickoff. Somehow the officials decided that they thought the penalty occurred before the ball went through. So they wiped the field goal off the board, gave the Giants a 15-yard personal foul penalty, and on 4th and long, they had no choice but to punt the ball away. So the field goal was wiped off the board by the unnecessary roughness penalty. Then, of course, on the final field goal attempt by Graham Gano, defensive lineman Nathan Shepard pushed down on the back of the left guard, Kubas, so that Bresee could jump over Kubas, penetrate the line of scrimmage, and get his thumb on the kick and make it go awry wide to the left of the uprights. So Kubas, in a very difficult piece of a circumstance, great play by the Saints, because that's exactly what the Giants did in Seattle when Isaiah Simmons was able to leap over the lineman. You can't touch him or it's a penalty. Leaped over him, blocked the field goal in Seattle to save the Giants' victory at the end of that game. Well, the Saints did the same thing to the Giants in this game. And Kubas was the unknowing victim and participant here. Now, he shares the special teams gasser with Greg Stroman. And why do I go there? Well, with 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter, the Giants are down 7-3. And Smith-Marsette runs back a punt return, 56 yards for a touchdown. He cuts right, goes to the sideline by the Giants bench, and runs upfield for the score. Lights the stadium up, and then the late penalty flag, and it gets taken off the board. They call Greg Stroman for holding. Didn't see it at the time. I've since looked at the replays. I'm still not sure exactly what I saw. I'm a bit confused by the call, but it was there. It was called according to the officials. And so when you get a touchdown taken off the board and a field goal taken off the board, and then add insult to injury by getting a field goal blocked at the end of the game, you got no choice but to hand out the gassers to those involved. So the New Orleans Saints beat the Giants by the final count of 14-11 at MetLife Stadium. We'll be back with the Big Blue Breakdown on the New York Giants on SI YouTube page and Media Network on Wednesday night, as always, with our live edition of the program, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will take your video calls, your phone calls, and of course your typed-in chats to talk New York Giants football. Until then, I'm Paul Dottino. So long, everybody.